Time now to join our commentary team in situ at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. It's Ian Humphreys alongside Jim Neely.
Well, a very warm welcome to a very warm oldest international rugby ground in the world. Dear old Lansdowne Road here at Dublin 4. Just about bathed in sunshine. Not quite a full house, a few empty seats, and they tried very hard to pick things up in the middle of the week for this very important game for both sides. Japan coming here making just the 3 changes, having been walloped by 61 points to 7 by the world champion Springboks last weekend. And in Chicago, despite leading for 3/4 of the game, Ireland went down eventually 26-13 to the New Zealand All Blacks, and they've made no fewer than 8 changes. And I guess if you were going to make changes, you wouldn't want to make it for Australia or the Springboks in.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. I think to have backed up the same team as last week would have been very difficult for the fringe players. They'll have wondered how they're going to get their opportunities, and then also to try and play 4 big international games in 4 weeks would be very tough as well. So great to see a few fringe players get an opportunity, and also excited to see Caelan Doris again starting from the off.
Caelan Doris captaining Ireland for just the 9th time. He was tipped to captain the Lions, but unfortunately injury from which he's now recovered. I'm glad to say prevented him from doing that. So it's going to be Japan to kick off, playing from left to right as we look at it, playing towards the Lansdowne Road end, and it's the right side half. Seung-Sin Lee, the 24-year-old captain of fewer than 28 times for his country, 29 if you include today. The referee is from Italy. He's Gianluca Necci. Is assisted by Andrea Piardi and fellow Italian Federico Vedonvelli, and the TMO is Matteo Lipperini, also from Italy. And off they go down deep into Ireland's 22, gathered in by Ireland's skipper Caelan Doris, who sets off, and he is summarily flattened inside his 22. Casey gets it away to the near side of the field, the Irish left. Ireland right up to the 22. Casey in there quickly. Now they move it. Crowley leans back and kicks with a pass back from inside. Stockdale jumps and manages to gather as he knocked it backward. He has knocked it backward according to the referee. Casey in there quickly, well away by Ireland. This is good stuff by the men in green. Good driving forward by big Ryan Baird, who's having a terrific sequence of events here. And the referee has said no, it was knocked over on the far side. Initially I thought he was going to let Stockdale away with that in. There's a long delay.
Yeah, it was nice to see, Jim, how Ireland are looking to play. They're going to have a dabble first. They're going to see if there's any space, and then when there's not, Crowley goes to the air. And as you said, it looked like Stockdale had won it. He got up nice, he dominated the space, unfortunately just went forward. But you can see the tempo and the intensity that Ireland are trying to play. They're going to try and move this Japanese team around and try and find the soft spaces, play a little bit more off 10 off Crowley, and use the speed of Casey's pass to get that little bit of width.
First set piece of the afternoon. I was going to say evening, but this is the earliest I can remember a game being played in this dear old ground. It's the scrum to Japan, just inside the Ireland 10-metre line, about 7 metres in from the near touchline, the Japanese right. Ireland defending the Lansdowne Road end. With the ball is to Saito. Good squeeze by Ireland at the scrum, and Japan have got the ball away. Good work driving forward is Dylan Riley, the 28-year-old South African. Ireland defending well in the middle of the park. Quick ball by Japan once again. The back row forwards, and Kanji Shimokawa takes it forward. Ireland turned him over, put him to the ground. Ball coming back slowly on the Japanese side. The Irish defence, first up defence, is pretty decent. One of the Japanese tight forwards has to go in and play scrum half, and does just that and pops it up to another one. Good tackling by Baird once again. Away by Saito. Looking for a couple of fellow men in red and white. The Brave Blossoms, as they're known. Still inside Ireland's 10-metre line. Good work once again by Seung-Sin Lee. Takes it on like a back row forward. Baird gets himself out of the way. It's all tight stuff by Japan. Not what we're used to seeing them doing. They normally like to move the ball wide. Now they do move it a little bit on the wide side. Taken on by Warner Dearns, the Wellington-born New Zealander who's been in Japan since he was 14, about 10 years ago. Inside the Ireland 10-metre line, Japan moved the ball to the far side. Ball is spilled forward, and the referee blows the whistle and gives a penalty against Japan. And that's a great bit of defending by Ireland. They never looked out of sorts at all.
No, they did very well, Jim. I think the Japanese are known for really quick ruck ball, but what Ireland are doing very well is they're identifying which rucks to attack and which rucks not to, and they're letting the Japanese just try and play everything in front of them. And then whenever Tommy O'Brien, was a great chop tackle by Craig Casey, Tommy O'Brien immediately in on the ball to make the turnover. So great set after last week. Quite a lot of missed tackles last week by Ireland, and they'll be delighted with that start.
Jack Crowley from inside his own 10 metre line just strokes it very gently and takes play to just inside the Japanese 10 metre line, away over on the far side of the field, the east stand side of the field. The Irish right full line out by Ireland, and it goes over the top. Not the greatest throw in the world. Ball is bouncing awkwardly and spilled forward. Referee says play on. It's advantage to Ireland. Here comes Farrell, puts it back in field rather clumsily. That was forward by Ireland from O'Brien to, in fact it wasn't O'Brien, it was Craig Casey, the little scrum half, and it went forward, but they'll go back for the initial infringements. That wasn't a great first line up by Ireland, Ian.
No, it wasn't, Jim, and that's a frustration for any team, that you've all your plans, you've all your set piece lunches, and it's the same as last week. First line out, just a slight overthrow where there was a miscommunication, and as Claire said pre-game, whenever there's such a short turnaround with the travel from New Zealand, it's not ideal. There's changes in personnel. They probably haven't got the full number of reps that they would like. So that's a frustrating start for the Irish pack, and they'll be looking to dominate then in this scrum after the first scrum went so well as well.
4.5 minutes gone, and listening to International Rugby and BBC Radio Ulster. There was a little knock forward by a Japanese hand, which has given Ireland somewhat fortuitously the scrum, just inside the Japanese 10 metre line, about 25 metres or so from the far touchline, Ireland's right, more or less straight in front of the Japanese post. Options on both sides. Casey, Ireland's first put in, good squeeze by Ireland at the scrum. That's a very good Irish scrum. They're moving forward. Referee thinking about the penalty. He's given the penalty, but he's taken the hand down. Little chip and chase, ball comes back in field, and the penalty will stand, and I'm pretty sure Ireland will go into the corner.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Great scrum by Ireland. Thomas Clarkson getting a lot of plaudits there. But it's surprisingly Ireland going for the points, Jim. They're obviously deciding to get a lead to try and put the game out of reach of Japan nice and early. But a great first scrum. Penalty advantage. Casey giving Tommy O'Brien a nice one-on-one, and unfortunately for O'Brien, just the grubber through was blocked. Otherwise, it was a good option taken, and it would have been 5 points for Ireland.
So Jack Crowley, midway between the Japanese 10 metre line and 22, and just about straight in front of the Japanese post, going for a pop at the opposition post. 8 points against the New Zealand All Blacks. Conversion and a couple of penalties. Conversion of the try by the great Tag Furlong, who's being rested today, as are one or two others. But it's still a pretty decent looking Irish side. So here's Crowley for the first point with just about 6 minutes gone. Little shuffle, up he comes, right foot. Chips it nicely, and flags go up, and that's a very, very good kick, and so important, man. You would know better than most of the goal kicker to get the first one in.
Yeah, definitely. Crowley's kicked very well this season, Jim, and you can just see the confidence, and that's what you like from Andy Farrell, to give Crowley another game this week instead of immediately flip-flopping between himself and Sam Prendergast. So nice early start from Crowley, and Ireland will be looking to attack again from deep.
Prendergast is nemesis on the bench. Long restart kick gathered in by Ireland to bring it back in field again to the skipper Keelan Doris. A nice mazy swervy run by him up to the 22. They're still inside that area. Here come Ireland trying to move the ball to the near side of the field. Osborne goes into contact. Ireland have lost a metre or so. There's Crowley's back behind this, and it's going to be Casey to kick by himself, and he kicks left footed and finds a half decent touch, although Japan thought about taking it quickly through outside half Seung Sing Lee, the 24-year-old from the Kobe Steelers. Some of these Japanese club names are just wonderful. A couple of guys play for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, Sagamihara, Dynabors. I'm glad I'm not saying that week in, week out. Japanese line out inside the Irish half, well won at the front, and they get it away through their back row forward, Ben Gunter. Japanese bring it down this narrow side. Good work once again. The skipper is in there, and again Ireland's defence being tested, and so far they're up to it. A little bit of overrunning there by Japan. Now they move the ball wide once again. A little pop pass taken on by a couple of the big forwards. This is nicely stuff for Japan. Little chip kick through. There's a lot of pace out that far side, and the ball has gone into touch. And when they play with zip, they really are a delight to watch in.
They are, Jim. As I said previously, they like the quick ruck ball, but what they do really well, you just see as Nick Timley folds around the corner, one of the Japanese attackers takes him out of the defensive line, which shortens Ireland line. Next ruck, and an Irish defender tries to poach where it's not on, so all of a sudden they're caught really short, meaning the fullback has to close the gate and leaving the kick space in behind.
Irish line out, but they're some 7 metres from their own try line, far side of the field. Ireland's right. They land down road end. Ronan Kelleher gets it to the front. Casey gets it away. Doris moves forward, goes into contact yet again. Sets the ball behind him. Kelleher in there just to tidy up a little bit. In fact, it was Ryan Baird. Back to Crowley. Forced under a wee bit of pressure. Sliced it rather. But he's found a decent touch. There's a bit of a breeze down there. Ireland are actually playing into, just looking to the far side, and the flag of the assistant referee or touch judge in Old Money seems to be blowing and indicating that Ireland are facing a wee breeze. And now, of course, as I said that, the breeze has dropped down. Kenji Sato, the 22-year-old Japanese hooker to throw, just outside Ireland's 22. Well taken at the front. Good, efficient set piece, under pressure in the scrums, but nothing wrong with the line out. Now they managed to get the ball away. It's gone backward from Charlie Lawrence, the New Zealander. But it did go backwards, so Japan have a chance to drive forward, and they do drive forward. Good support play by Kenta Kobayashi, the loose head prop. And again, the first line of defence is just about breached and no more. They managed to dig it out. This is lovely, quick stuff by Japan. Skipper Derns takes it up to Ireland's 22, 50 metres in from the near touchline. Ireland again defending magnificently. This is good stuff. Right in the middle of all of that is Kelleher. Tight head prop Thomas Clarkson is in there as well. But Japan have won the ball back. Open side flanker Kanji Shimiokawa gets up to the 22. Now they try to move it wide. The ball has gone loose. Can Ireland capitalise? It's gone very loose, and Ireland need to win the ball on the ground, and they have won the ball. A little kick through by Ireland, and a good bit of covering there by Japan. A little chip down by the full back. Well gathered in by Ireland. Whipped back into the middle of the field. Good chance here. Ireland wallop the ball, left-footed all the way down from Jamie Osborne. Gathered on the far side of the field, east stand side. Japan up to their own 10-metre line, coming back inside. Good support play. Lee gets it away. And again, lots of green shirts there, picking the Japanese men off one at a time. Now Japan have got a bit of an advantage here. That's a lovely wide pass, and it goes out to that man once again. Derns, the skipper, up to Ireland's 10-metre line. And again, it's Japan, and again they're getting across that gate line. And that's a lovely little flat pass by Charlie Lawrence. Irish defence is good. Ireland so far haven't conceded a penalty. A little right-footed kick all the way back to Jacob Stockdale. Big Jacob gathers it, brings it back in field to his outside half. Jack Crowley, and Crowley leans back and kicks magnificently. But Japan, the ball didn't touch the out of field play, so they've managed to move it wide. That looked like a forward pass from here, just as well, I think, Ian, because the Japanese left wing Tomoki Osada, who scored 4 tries in 25 appearances, is not slow.
No, Jim, that is really, really impressive attack from Japan. They've got through the multi-phases. That's very, very close. Maybe just drifted slightly forward, but I think Ireland, Tommy O'Brien was relieved to see the referee pull that back. But the Japanese they're mixing it really nicely, playing off 9 and 10. They're hitting those short lines. They're getting over the gain line. Really quick ruck ball, and then it's a race around the corner of Ireland's defenders and the Japanese attackers. And then as Ireland get a little bit tighter in defence, they're playing that ball out the back, the second wave of attack, and then they're happy to play that bridge pass, that long pass to the width, and they're finding a little bit of space in behind.
Coming up to 12 minutes gone, Ireland leading by 3 points to 0, thanks to a penalty after 6 minutes by outside half Jack Crowley. This is the 11th time these countries have met at top cap-given international level. Ireland have won 9, Japan 1, and the most important one, of course, is the one that Japan won in the World Cup in 2019, where they really did shock the rugby world, and that caused Ireland all sorts of problems. So here come Ireland again. Robbie Henshaw hasn't been around for a while, takes it up, getting to the, he doesn't mind me saying so, veteran stage, taken on by Kelleher. Ireland across the Japanese 10-metre line, and the ball has gone loose, and referee said play on, and Japan has stripped that ball nicely, and there's a half-decent chance for them now, and that's a good pass, and out they go to Osada on the far wing, and he's come back in field, and here goes Osada, lovely step by Osada, links up with his hooker Kenji Sato. And the referee seems to have given a penalty against Japan for something naughty? No, he's saying play on. Casey is there. Ireland managed to turn it over, but they're right back inside their 22. Ryan Baird sets it up nicely. Craig Casey goes in, digs it out with a left foot, gets it onto his left foot yet again and kicks for the near touchline, and he's found his touch. In Japan have taken that quickly, not for the first time, and here they go again, and this is a tiny wee fella, and away he goes. Kipaya Shida, who's only 5 feet 5 inches tall, sets it up well. Japan driving forward. Good work by number 8, Luma Makize. And again Japan, but they're well tackled. Good work by Charlie Lawrence, who set the ball up, but the referee has given a penalty against Japan. And you have to say, apart from Ireland's penalty, it's been all the Brave Blossoms in.
It has, Jim, and you hope the message, either the players have got to realise themselves, or the message has to come off the side that they have to kick the ball into the stand. That's 2 or 3 quick line-outs the Japanese have taken. They're obviously trying to play with tempo. They believe that they can beat Ireland around the corner. The Japanese historically play same way rugby, and a complete race to see who can take the space. So vital for Ireland that they sort of tighten up those clearance kicks, have to go into the stand. And then just a little bit disappointing that the first launch attack off a scrum was just a simple Robbie Henshaw up on his own, and then just no deception, no sort of trying to break the Japanese defence, going through the structures, and the Japanese defence holding strong and making the turnover.
Good kick by Crowley. Ireland have the line out almost up at the Japanese 10-metre line. That's an awful line out by Ireland, knocked forward in it by Japan. What is going on with the Irish line out? They haven't managed to get one right so far today. Kelleher shaking his head. Is it his fault?
Yeah, it just seems that the throw was in before the lift was there, and you're kind of looking at it, wondering what's going on. We can see Kelleher talking to Tadhg Byrne to try and decipher what's going wrong, but you'd imagine there's enough Leinster players in there, Jim, that you can't even use the excuse that the players don't know each other. You're going Porter, you're going Thomas Clarkson, James Ryan, Ronan Keller. There's enough in there in Ryan Baird that they should be able to make those combinations work. So frustrating for Ireland, who are such a set-piece dominant team that they can't seem to get their line out firing, and they're very fortunate to get the scrum.
Little glance on our big screens here. The 3 distinguished members of the Irish bench, Gary Ringrose, Dan Sheehan and Josh van der Veer, all being rested today. One presumes for greater things to come. The Wallabies here in a week's time, in a fortnight's time, as double world champions, the South African Springboks. Referee's blown the whistle. Is his attention being drawn to something in the scrum by his touch judge in the far side? He was having a look at it, and there seemed to be a little pressing of buttons in around the waist area, which indicates that the assistant is going to be brought in, but not in this case. The referee's going to ask him to do it again. We have now played 15 and a half minutes. It's Ireland 3, Japan 0. But in terms of territory and possession and pizzazz, if there's such a word in Japanese, it's all been the Brave Blossoms. So here they go again. Craig Casey, ball in his little paws, playing with his Munster halfback partner Jack Crowley. New centre combination, Robbie Henshaw and Tom Farrell, a pair of 32-year-olds, and Farrell is the oldest player to ever play in the midfield for Ireland in his first cap. Here they come again. Little flat pass. That was turned over. They've got to go back for the infringement at the scrum. I think it's another penalty to Ireland, and I'm sure Crowley will go into the corner. I can't see him trying to kick. Well, he may well kick from here, but I don't think he will, Ian.
No, I think they try and go in the corner and try and get their line-out drive going. They had the choice of the penalty close to the touchline from the scrum or for the centre of the pitch for the tip tackle. But the Ireland scrum's dominating pretty well, Jim, and that'll be a piece. I think they're going to go to the TMO to have a look at this tip tackle on Tom Farrell by, I'm not sure which Japanese centre. I presume it was Dylan Riley.
Charlie Lawrence was the man who infringed. The New Zealander wearing his 8th cap today. And he may find himself, well, I think that's at least a yellow card in.
Yeah, I think it is, Jim, and I think this is one of the ones where there's actually, I don't think there's any question that it's yellow. I think it's one, it potentially could be upgraded, but instead of taking a long time, let's just get the yellow card, send it to the bunker and keep the game going. I think that was one of the complaints last week. It was very stop-start. There was a lot of breaks in play, and I think that's a minimum of a yellow, and let's sort of get that done and move on and keep the game sped up.
Well, what used to be an 80-minute game is now well over an hour and a half. So decision's been made. The TMO is Matteo Liparini, and the foul play officer is Eric Gazan from France, who's been around a long time.
Number 12, please.
Well, he's got a card in his hand. I can't quite see what it is. So Charlie Lawrence has been brought over, and Charlie Lawrence has been given a yellow card with the possibility of it being upgraded to a red card. So Japanese serving of having the same fate that Ireland had last week against the New Zealand All Blacks. So penalty to Ireland, and they're going to kick for the far touchline. Japan down to 14 men. Charlie Lawrence in the bin.
Yeah, Jim, it's vital now that Ireland make most of this, that they get that dominance while they have the man advantage. Obviously last week they were on the reversal of Tadhg Burns' yellow card, which turned into 20-minute red, and so hopefully first things first, they've got to make sure they clean up their line out and win the ball.
Well, what a very good kick was put in there by Ireland's outside half, Jack Crowley. We played 17 and a half minutes. Japan trailing by 3 points to 0 and trailing by 14 men to 15. Important that Ireland get this line out right, because the last couple have been very iffy. Kelleher with the ball, a little dummy throw that's gone to the back, and they didn't quite get it right, and the referee, I think, is going to ask them to do that again. It was crooked throw, I think. So Japan did yeah.
I think it's a dummy throw, Jim.
It's a dummy throw. Why did Kelleher do that? He's been doing this for a long time. I don't mean doing that incident for a long time. He's been throwing the ball in at this level for a long time, and he didn't get it right. And Japan have managed to clear their lines, but at least Ireland, because it was a free kick and not a penalty, Ireland will get the line out on the far side of the field, just inside the Japanese half, east stand side of the field. So 3 lineouts in a row have been dreadful. Now they do a quick one. Nick Timoney whipped it away. Here comes Crowley. This is much better by Ireland. Long wide pass gathered in by big Jacob Stockdale. Now what is he going to do? He comes back in field, gets across the Japanese 10-metre line. Casey thought about the narrow side, pops it in field to his skipper Keenan Doris, who makes a bit of ground. Good support play by Nick Timoney, the Leinster man who plays his rugby for Ulster. Here they come again, Ireland. This is a wee bit better. That's gone wide. Nicely done. Lovely transfer. Here come Ireland down that far touchline. It is the big fella himself. Ryan Baird takes it on, leaves it back for Casey. Nice stuff by Ireland. This is much better. Good flat pass. Here come Ireland. Decent chance of a score if Ireland can move the ball. Hold on 10 minutes away. Casey to the near side of the field. Lovely little flat pass. Wonderful support play by Jack Crowley. Takes it from his skipper, and Crowley puts the ball down for the first try of the afternoon. And that, I would have to say, is a bit more like it from Ireland.
Yeah, fantastic work by Ireland, Jim. Just multi-phase. They take the edge to the right-hand side, and then it's a lovely tip-on pass to Thomas Clarkson, who offloads in to Caelan Doris. Really, really quick ruck ball. And Casey, you just see Casey's pass, Jim. It's just allowing that extra width. Lovely decoy line by the Ireland forwards, and it was Clarkson tipping on to Robbie Henshaw. And then instead of getting caught on the 5 metre line, just picking and going, Ireland spread it to where they have the numbers. Doris feeds Crowley, who works really well to get onto the end of the pass, and he's easy finish under the post. So great phase attack by Ireland.
Well, they reckon you should score 10 points when the opposition is down to 14 men. So far, Ireland have managed 5 of those. The conversion about to be taken, and the man who touched the ball down lands the conversion. So it's the Jack Crowley show at the moment. It's Jack Crowley and Ireland 10 and Japan 0, and we played 20 minutes.
Yeah, Jim, and it just shows winning. That's the first line out. Ireland have won 1 and 4, and then they just managed to get through the phases and get away and get the try. So that'll hopefully be the little settler that they need, and hopefully now the passes will just be out in front, a little bit crisp. Interesting to see what Japan do, whether or not they're going to try and kick to the same place, but it looks like the referee's having a chat about what's the yellow card.
I didn't quite pick that up. I think he was saying it's just going to stay a yellow card, so Charlie Lawrence will be off for another 8 minutes or so, or 6 minutes. So he'll be, the degree of danger was judged not to be high, so he'll be pleased with that. Restart kick by Japan, nice and high, coming down just outside Ireland's 22. Good jump and gather by Ireland. Pulled in. Crazy has a wee glance over his left shoulder, thinks about popping it up, and he does pop it up. And again, Ireland quite happy to take it into contact. Kelleher's in there. There's a Japanese forward, Kenta Kobayashi. was in the middle of all that. Casey kicks the left footed down that far touchline. Good jump and catch. Not quite by Ireland, but Ireland managed to rescue it. Good work by Keelan Doris. But it was nudged forward in the contact by Ireland, and Japan will get the put into the scrum just inside the Irish half, far side of the field, the east stand side, the Irish right. Ireland defending the old Lansdowne Road end.
That was a good kick-off, Jim, by Japan. By putting it into 15, it meant that Ireland couldn't try and take the width like they had in the first couple of kick-offs. Obviously, with the extra man advantage, Ireland would have potentially been looking to try and spread it from deep, but the kick-off was so good. Ireland took the phase and then a Casey kick. Tommy O'Brien, very unlucky, a bit like Stockdale earlier, won the space in the air but couldn't quite come back down with the ball.
Just the second scrum of the game. We played 22 minutes, 10-0 to the Irish. It's about 8 metres in from the far touchline. The Japanese left and just inside the Irish half. Naota Saito pops it in. Better scrum by Japan. A nice little show of the ball. Japan up to the Irish 10-metre line. Saito takes it to the narrow side where he's got a wee bit of support. Now you bring it to the open side and he does just that. The skipper takes it forward. Warner Dearns, Wellingtonian from New Zealand, as we said earlier, came to Japan when he was just 14 years of age, been there ever since for 10 years. Supposed to be heading to New Zealand next year to play for the Hurricanes, I'm reliably informed. Ball moving forward. Good work by the Japanese forward pack. Now they bring it to that narrow side. Little pass forward, bounced out of the Japanese hand, well tidied up in there by Jamie Osborne. Ireland need a few green men in there, and they've got a few green men in there. Timothy goes to scrum half. Ireland take it forward. Good work by Tagburn. So relieved that he didn't have to serve any period of suspension after what happened last week in Chicago. Casey, little dink into a wee bit of space. Oh, well gathered by Ireland. That's wonderful stuff by Osborne yet again. Into the Japanese half. Now it's Casey. Better stuff. Crowley kicks to the near side of the field for Stockdale. Big lad jumps and knocks it forward, I'm afraid. Does he knock it forward? Referee says I think he did knock it forward, but Ireland is saying he's playing on at the moment. That's amazing. Casey brings it to the open side of the field. Tagbird gets it away. Crowley, little flat pass now to Osborne. Osborne whips it out wide to the other blonde in the team, Tommy O'Brien. Tommy O'Brien steps and stumbles and comes back in field as he set it up. Osborne's in to help him. Casey gets it away. Better stuff from Ireland. They do take it forward and they manage to lose it. Unfortunately, it was tight head prop Thomas Clarkson couldn't quite get the ball away. Japan have retrieved the ball and they'll probably kick it down that far side, their left hand side. No, they're going to pop it up into the air and drive it forward to make it a little bit easier for the person who's going to maybe do the relieving kicking, which is Shun Sing Lee, who's standing behind the scrum, but it's his halfback partner Sato kicks, and the referee says that's fine, and it's going to be a line out to Ireland on the far side. Ireland will not be disappointed with 10-0, but they'd obviously like a wee bit more in.
Yeah, Jim, they're showing some signs of invention and creativity, but at the same time, then a couple of times just haven't quite been accurate enough. Nice kick through by Casey for Tommy O'Brien, reminiscent of Jody Barrett's try in the URC final last year. And then just Ireland unfortunately turned it over just as they got towards the 22.
Well, again, Ireland lose the line out. What is going wrong with a side that is supposed to have been one of the best line out sides in the world? There's something not right, but Ireland managed to win the ball back. And Crowley gets it away. Here comes Robbie Henshaw. Puts it right now. The lovely change of pace by Farrell. Farrell up to the 22. Referees blowing the whistle. I think there's a bit of obstruction by Ireland, a bit of crossing, preventing the would-be tackler taking on the man with the ball. And Japan will have the relieving penalty. 25 minutes and a wee bit. Ireland 10, Japan 0. If you're just joining us here on BBC Radio Ulster, all 10 Irish points from outside half Jack Crowley. A penalty after 6 minutes, a try after 19 and a subsequent conversion. Crowley 10, Japan 0. Penalty to Japan midway between the 22 and 10 metre line. Nicely struck, and that's all the way down into Irish territory. Andy Farrell will be tearing out his hair about the Irish line-out, which is simply dreadful.
Yeah, they really struggle, Jim. It seems to be miscommunications because the lifts aren't clean, the throws are all pretty much overthrows, and that's just obviously communication and timing.
Japan win the ball through their skipper. Wide pass. Here comes Japan across the 10 metre line, trying to set the ball up, and they do set the ball up. It's a bit slow coming back because there's Irishmen in there, and a Japanese player breaks away and throws the ball rather wide, and the referee will bring them back because there was an offence. Japan gave away the penalty That looked a little bit on the ominous side, but a wonderful sprinty type run by Shuhei Takeuchi, the tight head prop for Japan.
Yeah, I think the referee said he wasn't behind the back foot and when he picked the ball up, so a bit of a let off for Ireland, although great scramble offence, they'd managed to turn it over and a potential for a counter-attack, and perhaps the Ireland backs would have preferred to play on, Jim, with the counter-attack ball instead of going to line-out.
Yeah, well, there were days when Ireland would have preferred the line-out to the scrum because they're under no threat from the scrum here. They'd rather have a scrum, but it's going to be another line-out for Ireland. For goodness sake, Ireland, you've got to get this one right. They are bringing in, they've taken a couple of men out, put them in the middle of the park. One of them in Keelan Doris. Andrew Porter standing at the front for Ireland. Referee, I think, is saying to Ireland, let's get the men in the line-out. Here's Kelleher with the ball. Well, that's the way to do it. When in doubt, throw it short. Nick Timmody helps to tidy up. Kelleher's into the back and Ireland driving forward. Casey thinks about using Stockdale on the narrow side. Stockdale drops the shoulder, sets the ball back with those big long arms of his. Casey pops it up to number 8, Keelan Doris, and skipper. Casey gets it away again. Crowley puts it flat. Good work by Thomas Clarkson, the new tight head prop. Casey once again. Crowley, well done. Oh, just knocked forward by Stockdale. The pass was actually behind him, and the referee's playing advantage because Japan have managed to retrieve the ball from that situation. And they've got the ball back. If they kick it, the advantage will be over from Jacob Stockdale's knock on. So they're not kicking it forward. They're trying to drive in and set the ball up. Back it comes to outside half. Seun Sing Lee, and he kicks right foot. It doesn't find his touch. Gets to the far side. Well taken in by Tommy O'Brien. Goes to ground. Spilled forward rather carelessly by Ireland. I think it came off the foot of the captain. Ball hasn't gone into touch. Crowley rings it to the open side of the field. Now it's Osborne. Tries to make up his mind. Goes forwards. Well taken by the skipper Derns. Casey on the near side. Here comes James Ryan. Ireland again. Ryan Baird gets across the 10-metre line. Casey in quickly. Crowley moves it away. Nicely done by Ireland. This is looking a wee bit on the better side. That's a lovely dummy. Now they get it out wide to Tommy O'Brien. Comes back in, field off his right foot. Almost up to the 22. Casey once again. Crowley did a flat pass to his skipper, Keelan Doris, who's still motoring forward. Doris gets the body around, sets it up for Casey. Here come Ireland on the near side of the field, the left. This is better stuff by Ireland. Wonderful tackle. Robbie Henshaw manages to leave the ball behind him, but Japan getting men in. They're back to 15, incidentally. Ball was it spilled forward by Ireland? Not so, says the referee. Casey to the near side of the field. Andrew Porter puts the head down, gets up to the 22. Casey again changes direction. Crowley moves it away. Ball still was knocked backward, and again it's Ryan gets the ball away, and here goes Nick Timoney, and Timoney gets in the corner, and the sheer pace of Nick Timoney bamboozled the Japanese defence. Everything worked out nicely for him when he took the ball. A lot of Japanese defenders were flat-footed expecting the referee's whistle, but there was nothing wrong with it, and Nick Timoney gets in the corner to get a second Irish try.
Yeah, fantastic work by Nick Timoney. Ball looked like it had sort of got a little bit scrappy, Jim. It looked like it had maybe been a knock on by Tag Byrne, but they played on. James Ryan does really well, gets his hands free. Nick Timoney attacks the space, the real hard short line, and we've seen him numerous times at Ulster, Jim, finishing that out from 20 yards. He's a powerful, quick guy, and the Japanese defence weren't able to get over. So that'll be good from Ireland. They created a few opportunities there. They were unlucky. A couple of passes didn't quite stick, couldn't quite get that slip off the very last tackle, but they stuck with it. They worked round, got into shape, and a lovely finish by Nick Timoney.
Half an hour gone. Ireland leading by 15 points to 0. Jack Crowley from the near touchline. Tough old kick. He's kicked that quite beautifully, my word. That is a stonkingly delightful kick. Straight and true. Never deviated one single centimetre. And almost 31 minutes gone, and 17-0 to Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland will be pleased that, Jim. That's a little bit of a settler for them. The Japanese were starting to show a little bit again. They were coming back. They were back to a full complement of 15 players, and they were just starting to try and get a little bit of shape, a little bit of pace. So Ireland managed to get through some phases, create a few opportunities, and then a great finish by Nick Timoney in the corner here in front of us.
Big man down below is Elavili Utavite, the Fijian. Getting ready to chase this. Seun Sing Lee Right footed, that's a clever kick just across the 10-metre line and no more. Knocked back untidily on the Irish side by a Japanese hand, I think. Casey goes in field, swings it rather carelessly in field, and Japan have turned that one over. And Ireland could be in a little bit of trouble here if Japan use the ball wisely. Good work by Japan once again, and by Makishi, the number 8, gets it across the 22. Ball is on the ground. Ireland go in quickly, almost offside it would seem, but no, says the referee. Away by Ashida, the wing. Good work as well by the other wing, Osada. Both of them in there, not big men by any stretch of the imagination. Good driving forward by Japan, still outside the Ireland 22, right smack dab in the middle of the park. And Japan move the ball wide, and this is good stuff, but it's been spilled forward. Referee waiting for advantage, and he will wait for advantage, and the advantage will come back because Ulaviti, who's an enormous man, couldn't quite finish that off.
You can see what he was trying to do, just keeping the ball alive. If that offload goes to hand, Jim, then it's a good opportunity for the Japanese to get their first try of the day. But it's just that you see, as they get their ball carriers on the ball, they are dangerous. They're sucking in 2-3 Irish defenders. They're getting quick ball, and they are starting to get a couple of overlaps. But just fortunately, the Irish scramble defence managed to shut that down.
Interesting makeup of the Japanese, Pat. The second rows are Fijian and New Zealander. And in the back row they've got an Australian and a Tongan. It's going to be an Irish scrum. They'll feel a bit more comfortable with the scrum than they have been with the line-out. The line-out has gone horribly, apart from getting a straightforward simple throw to the man at number 2 in the line-out. 33 minutes gone, 17-0 to Ireland. Eddie Jones looking on, face somewhat pensive. Ireland scrum, Craig Casey, ball in hand. Casey, who captained the Irish on their successful trip to Portugal and Georgia during the summer. Casey, the open side of the field. Right here comes Henshaw. They move it wide, and Osborne gets in, kicks left-footed, and that is pretty horrible. Outside the 22, kicked it straight into touch. Should never have done that. Why didn't he just pass it to Jacob Stockdale?
Yeah, it's a strange option for the Irish backline to have taken. It felt like the Japanese had them numbered up pretty comfortably. The full-back was over this side, whereas the other side it looked like it was a 2-on-2 with Curley and Tommy O'Brien had they gone right. But obviously they want to use Osborne's big left foot to try and find field position.
Japanese line out right on the Irish 22 near side of the field. The Japanese right playing towards the Lansdowne Road end. Now they whip it away. Good driving forward by the man that was Ben Charlie Lawrence. Goes to ground quite quickly, sets it up. Nick Timoney, one of Ireland's try scorers, tries to get it back, but Japan have made a wee bit of ground. Now they pop the ball up and get across the Irish 22. Better stuff by the Brave Blossoms here. They come again, nicely done. Good covering tackle though by Ireland. An outside half Lee brought to ground, but he set it up nicely for Saito, a scrum half. And again they drive forward, and again the first up tackling by Ireland, and Nick Timoney was really very good. Japan found a little gap in the Irish defence, and then moving the ball to the far side, and this is good stuff by Japan. Good covering tackle by Jamie Osborne. Still there for Japan. Ball has been spilled forward. Play on, says the referee, but I think there's a little offence back somewhere, and he's going to bring them back. I'm not sure whether it was a knock forward or whether it was a penalty that's going to be given. I think it might have been a knock forward. What do you think, Ian?
I think he's coming back for a penalty for something, but incredible last-ditch tackle by Robbie Henshaw. Between Robbie Henshaw and Tommy O'Brien there a couple of times, Jim, the Japanese were hitting the midfield and then bouncing back down the blind again, and they were catching Ireland short a couple of times, and between O'Brien and Robbie Henshaw, they managed to snuff out the danger. I'm not sure what the penalty's for, but that's quite a few phases they've gone through in the Japanese.
I think the gesture from Gianluca Gnecchi of Italy was that there was Ireland were offside. He made the sign of the back line, and Ireland were offside, so they're going to go into the corner in the near side of the field. The Japanese right playing towards the Lansdowne Road end. We have about 4.5 minutes to the interval. Ireland would dearly love to keep the clean sheet, but they've got to put pressure on this Japanese line-out, which, unlike Ireland's line-out, has been very efficient. In they go. That's not quite so efficient, but it's back on the Japanese side. I think the referee indicating that Ireland might just have knocked it on. There's maybe a penalty to be given once again by Ireland. And there is a penalty against Ireland for interference at the line-out, interfering with the man who was going up for the ball, I do believe in.
Yeah, there are a few penalties creeping into the Ireland performance here, and that they'll be keen to try and clean up. Obviously, the line-out defence, they're just trying to put a lot of pressure. I think it was James Ryan was up at the tail there, trying to put the Japanese under pressure. But again, the Japanese just elect to go back to the line-out, obviously trying to set up the maul and try and put Ireland under a bit of pressure.
quite a young Japanese side. This Eddie Jones obviously building for the next World Cup. A lot of the forwards are just in their early 20s as opposed to Ireland's. Japanese have taken that well, and they're driving forward, looking for a pushover from this driven line-out. That's well played and well organised. Ireland have got to get men in behind. Lansdowne Road encouraging the boys in green to hang on in there. And Japan are very nearly across the line, and the referee is saying no. They haven't got it down.
Looks like he's going to go TMO, Jim. The Japanese, you can quite often tell by body language, they think they might have got it, otherwise it's going to be a goal line dropout.
Well, Gianluca Necci is having a word with Andrea Piardi as touch judge, and he's going to give the try. The try has been given. Well, he had a look, and Andrea Piardi says, yep, that was a try, and it is a try, and Japan have got their first points of the afternoon, and thoroughly deserved. Great line out, great taking, great drive, and Ireland crumbling very badly there. There was no cohesion in defence by the Irish forward pack.
No, I think you're bang on, Jim. It's definitely well deserved by the Japanese. They've looked, as you would expect with an Eddie Jones team, Jim, they've looked very well organised, very well drilled. They all seem to know what the roles are. They seem to be working very well as a unit, and as soon as that line out was won, the pack seemed to get into position really well, and the maul looked like it was going to be tough to stop.
I think it was perhaps tight head prop Shihui Takeuchi. Conversion attempt, and a very good kick it is. Conversion by Lee. So as half-time approaches, 10 points between them again. It's Ireland 17 and Japan, well done to them, 7.
Yeah, very good by Japan. Putting Ireland under big pressure, winning a couple of penalties, working their way down the pitch, and then when they got the opportunity with the 5-metre line out, managed to take the most of it and get their 7 points, and a lovely conversion as well.
Restart kick by Crowley puts it deep into Japan's 22. Well gathered in by the enormous Lua Makisi, and they set it up, and scrum half Saito was going to kick but changed his mind. Drives forward, good tackling there by Thomas Clarkson, Ireland's tight head prop, deputising for the great Tag Furlong. Little chip kick was knocked down by Ireland. Caelan Doris, the captain, sets it up nicely. Casey, where are we going with this? Here come Ireland. Henshaw drives forward and straightens, uses that strength of his. Casey again switches direction. Good chance here. Awful pass by Porter. Ireland lose 10 metres. And all the way back goes Farrell, pushed back into his own half. He needs to release this ball. He has released it. And Casey gets himself round very quickly. He's going to go to the narrow side. Little pop pass to Nick Timmer. He gets up to the halfway line. Good work by the former captain of the Blackrock College Leinster Senior Cup winning team, Nick Timmer, in case you didn't know. Where Casey kicks left, but a little step and big knock back on the Irish side, well gathered in. Play on, says the referee. Knocked forward by Ireland. Advantage to Japan. If they shift this, Ireland could be in trouble, but they decide just to drive straight forward. Good tackle by Andrew Porter. Lee gets it away. Wide pass out to the far side. Good tackle. Well, I was going to say good tackle by Stockdale, but he bounced off Kipai Ashida, who's the tiniest man on the Japanese side. Nice little dummy by the try scorer, tight head prop Takeuchi. Japan moved the ball wide to the far side. This is good stuff, but they're still on their own 10-metre line. There's a half chance here. Ball went forward. Oh, he's got away. This is going to be interesting. Back in field, and that was unfortunate. Still there for Japan. Wonderful backing up. Set up by Hooker Sato. He gets the ball away, and here comes the captain. Lovely side stepping by big Warner Danes, all 6'7" of them. Japan have got a bit of a chance here with in the last second or two of this first half. Another try here would really put the cat among the Irish pigeons. Japan up to the 22, and the referee says no, it was knocked forward, and Ireland will get put into the scrum, but the referee has said that before that knocked forward, Ireland had got themselves offside. So 3 points for the taking in. I wouldn't be surprised if Japan took the 3 points. What do you think?
Yeah, Jim, it'll be an interesting decision for them whether they go 3 points, whether they try and go to the corner again, because their maul has been so good. But what's been lovely to watch about Japan, Jim, is they've gone away from they're playing a lot off 10, they're playing a lot of what's in front of them. They're just lovely catch pass out in front and taking the width when it's on. Whereas Ireland, they're doing the way they play. They play through their pods, whether off 9 or off 10, and that just hasn't been quite as crisp as usual. Hence the ball's going to the ground. It's giving the Japanese energy in defence. It's forcing Ireland to go backwards, playing off retreating rucks, and it makes it really difficult for them. And some of their passes just haven't stuck. Whereas when the Japanese attack, they're attacking with such pace. They're hitting the line at pace. They're playing from deep, and they're just really putting the Ireland defence under pressure. But we're going back to the TMO for something.
Yeah, referee's made the indication that he wants to have a look at the screen. I'm not altogether sure. I'm not in communication with him and his TMO, Matteo Liparini. Jacob Stockdale standing hand on hips. Did he transgress, or has there been something that is going to warrant something more than just a penalty? I don't think Stockdale did anything unless he came back in field and got himself involved. I can't quite see. Yeah, there was a tackle there that was broken. Stockdale went in and there was head contact, but I don't know that it was deliberate, because the Japanese man that Stockdale was going to, I thought, got his forearm out and heaved Stockdale away from him. There was no contact with Stockdale's head, and there was no contact on the Japanese player's head. So I don't see what the problem is. Looking at it again, was there any contact? Ooh, what are you thinking? And that looks a bit different from that angle. Let's have another look at it. Number 14, Kipai Ishida had the ball.
I think it's just shoulder on shoulder, Jim. Maybe a small glance, but when there's a winger or any player stepping that quick, we see it with Michael Lowry, Jim, with the footwork. It is impossible. He's dropped his height. He's stepped a good metre and a half off his right foot.
And he's not big anyway.
No, I think that's one of those ones you'd like to put down as a rugby incident. I think because there's no way for Jacob Stockdale to react as he's chasing across the pitch, and it's not even clear and obvious that there's any head contact either.
Yeah, you worry, are there too many of these incidents now causing delays in play and everything else? Oh dear. Has he given Jacob Stockdale a yellow card? I think he has.
Yeah, he has, Jim. And I don't think.
Dear.
And I think Jacob doesn't even realise he's doing it. So he's obviously very frustrated. He believes he's in with a good opportunity to try and impress this week. And it's very difficult, as I said, chasing across the gap. Somebody stepping so aggressively off the right foot, it's going to be very tough to do anything but the collision that we saw.
Well, he will be slightly bewildered, Jacob Stockdale, because I didn't reckon there was much in that. I didn't look that there was much of a head contact, which is where the danger occurs. However, Jacob Stockdale is in the bin, and Japan, to end the half, have got a chance to, having been 17-0 down and now 10 points adrift, they have a chance to go just 3 points adrift outside half. Lee kicks right-footed, and that's another nice strike. So that's another 3 point for Japan, with Jacob Stockdale in the bin. And in the bin this first half, just 7 points to the good in.
Yeah, it's been a funny half, Jim. I think Ireland will be very frustrated with how their lineouts have gone, and it hasn't allowed them the platform to attack and get into their shape. A few passes haven't really stuck as they would have liked, but I think Japanese, you have to give them a lot of credit. They're playing with huge pace. They try to keep the ball alive, taking quick lineouts, playing with tempo, and Ireland just need to make sure they can get back to looking after the ball, improve their discipline a little bit, and see where they can get to.
Thanks, Ian. Ireland haven't really impressed. The line-out has been a shambles. Jack Crowley got them underway with a penalty after 6 minutes. 13 minutes later, Crowley himself went over for a try which he converted, and then he had a wonderful conversion from the touchline following Nick Timoney's touchdown. But back came Japan. Tight head prop Taguchi got over. Good conversion by Lee, who then subsequently kicked the penalty following Jacob Stockdale's sending to the bin. Half time at dear old Lansdowne Road. Not all that much in it, and Ireland need to buck up their ideas a wee bit. They're leading, but it's only by 17 points to 10.
This is Sports Sound. Listen live on digital, online or on BBC Sounds.
So former Ulster and Ireland internationals Claire Small and Robbie Diak they're here with me. We'll chat through the first half incidents in a moment, but now with the time just after 27 minutes past 1, let's get the latest BBC News.
BBC News NI on Radio Ulster and on BBC Sounds.
Good afternoon, I'm Gron McKinney. A man in his 20s has died after being struck by a car in Coleraine. The collision involving a pedestrian and the car happened on the Dunhill Road shortly after 1 o'clock this morning. Emergency services attended, but the man was pronounced dead at the scene. The Dunhill Road was closed for a time but has since reopened. The number of pupils in Northern Ireland's 40 special schools has risen by more than 1,000 in just 5 years. That's according to figures released by the Department of Education, as our education correspondent Robbie Meredith reports.
Pupil numbers in special schools have gone up to almost 7,500, a rise of over 1,000 or around 17% in just 5 years. That means most special schools are full, with some principals saying they've had to repurpose staff spaces or changing rooms as classrooms due to rising numbers. In recent years, some families of children with special needs have had to wait long into the summer before getting a school place, and the Education Authority has said there will be a need for thousands more school places in the years ahead.
The BBC understands the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, is set to announce significant changes to immigration rules, with policies modelled on the Danish system. The country's border control and asylum policies are seen as some of the toughest in Europe. The Nights Hour for Belfast City Centre is urging people to use or lose new late-night bus and train services, which will run from the end of this month. A one-year pilot scheme will see metro buses available between midnight and 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. There will also be some later Ulster bus and rail services. The Tsar, Michael Stewart, says the public should take advantage of the pilot.
The big issue now is we have this, and I'm using this strapline, use it or lose it. If we don't use these facilities, they may well look at it in a year's time and say it wasn't worthwhile. Hopefully it will be worthwhile, and that we get as many people onto those buses and trains, especially over the festive period, and everybody has a good, safe night out.
The presenter, Davina McCall, has revealed she was diagnosed with breast cancer a few weeks ago and underwent surgery to have it removed. In a social media post, she said her disease was discovered very, very early and has urged other women to get checked. With the weather now, here's Ali.
A mild and bright day with plenty of sunny spells, staying largely dry for a time. Cloud will build through the late afternoon as a band of showery rain moves in by evening. Daytime highs reaching around 11 to 13 degrees. Staying cloudy overnight with further spells of rain turning quite heavy at times. Winds will strengthen through the night with overnight lows of 8 to 10 degrees.
BBC News.
Well, half-time in the Premier League in England, Manchester United, they're in such good form of late. They're leading 1-0 at Tottenham Hotspur. Brian Mbeumo with the goal there for Manchester United. But Claire Small and Robbie Diak with me here in studio watching that first half. Ireland leading Japan 17 points to 10 at half-time. Claire, what do you make of that scoreline? Because Japan have played ever so well. More territory, more possession, more carries, more metres made, but Ireland are leading.
Yeah, and to be honest, I expect that Ireland should be leading by more than that. But I suppose what we've seen in this first half is that Japan have really come out wanting to play. Like first 15 minutes, they had all the territory, all the possession. And it was really only that yellow card for Japan that allowed Ireland to get a foothold in the game for the Crowley try. I think it's been a frustrating half for Ireland. There's been a lot of errors. Their line out again isn't functioning well. There have been knock-ons, there have been penalties, they've been offside a number of times, and there's a lot of frustration there. But as you say, they're sitting ahead 17 points to 10 at the minute. That's where they'd want to be, but I think they'd also love to have a few more points on the board at this point.
I'd say so. Robbie, what have you made of Ireland in that first half?
As Claire said, it's been frustrating to watch. I think, if we look back at the game against New Zealand last week, we spoke about the lineouts, and I think that's been an evident point so far in the game. I think they've won 2 out of 6 lineouts so far, and if I was Paul O'Connell at the moment in that change room at halftime, I'd bring the forward pack around and I'd do a little walkthrough of just to make sure that we actually start winning a couple of our own ball, because I think at this level against a team like Japan, it's not acceptable, and I think it's harsh, but that's the level that they're playing at, and I think that
they just don't seem to be on the same page.
They don't, and you look at the James Ryan, Tadhg Beirne, these guys are world class British Lions, and you've got Ronan Kelleher in there as well. So it's whether it's a lack of communication, whether Eddie Jones has worked out their systems, and they've marked up certain areas which have put them under pressure, making pressure calls, throwing to the back. But it's evident that the first line out they won, they scored off that actual set piece. So when they get the ball, they're looking dangerous. But Japan certainly have been the dominant side this half. They've carried more, they've attacked more, they've exploited the outside channels more than Ireland have, and they've looked more dangerous. And I think Japan certainly could have had a couple more points, potentially another try. Obviously, the discipline, the early yellow card didn't help the situation, which allowed Ireland to capitalise on that 10-minute slot. But it's, I'd really hope to see Ireland pull their set piece together in the second half.
Contrasting fortunes for our Ulster starters, Nick Timoney and Jacob Stockdale. We talked about them, Claire, at the top of the programme. Timoney, first of all, such a powerful guy, such a quick guy, and he everyone else was sleeping, but he got in and nipped in for a very important try.
Yeah, he's someone who works so hard around the park. He's in almost every ruck, and he's always looking for opportunities. And I suppose what we saw with his try was there was a ball on the ground, looked like could have been a knock on, but it was deemed to be absolutely fine, and everyone else stopped, but Timoney picked it up, and he had the pace and the power to finish that. So it's great for him that he's really taken this opportunity and he's shown what he can do in terms of his pace and his power. But as well as that, he is all around the park. He's hitting those breakdowns, and that's something that we need to see, because we need to see it a bit more, because Japan are strong at the breakdown, and they're trying to slow Ireland's ball down. And we see whenever Ireland get to play with quick ball, what they can do in multi-phase attack. So the breakdown's a really important thing for Ireland to have a look at going into the second half.
Robbie, you were talking about Nick Timoney. What a strong guy he is in the gym.
He's incredibly strong. Definitely, when we were back in the day, when we were there, he was definitely one to, he would draw a crowd to the bench press and to the squat rack, and he just puts in so much effort. And I think he struggled with injuries during his development days, and to see where he is at the moment, to see how explosive he is, to see him over the ball, to carry, and he's obviously had experience in the Sevens circuit as well. So incredibly fit, incredibly strong, but also very, very skillful. And give him a bit of space, and he's away. So delighted to see him get on the scoreboard early on, and also disappointing to see Jacob Stockdale taken off with a yellow card towards the end of the half. I think Ishida is probably one of their smallest, shortest guys on the Japanese team, and running at a player at that pace, and for him to duck into contact, sidestep, is really difficult for Jacob to drop his height. Rules are rules, and he got the yellow card. I just hope that Jacob comes back in the second half. Ireland sort their lineouts out a bit more, get the ball out to the wingers out wide, because that's where he's dangerous, is getting the ball in Jacob's hands with space and time.
Yeah, Claire, he looked really disappointed. Stockdale, he didn't look like he even realised that yellow was coming. He couldn't quite believe that he got a yellow for that, a shake of the head as he went off. But yeah, he'll be looking to come back on 10 minutes into that second half and make a really big impression again. Yeah, absolutely. Like we saw, he got ball in hand a couple of times during that half, but he didn't really get to do much with it. So definitely whenever he comes back on, he will want to show what he can do. Like we know from previous, whenever he's played for Ireland, what he can do in terms of his try scoring ability. We see it for Ulster week in, week out. He is in good form, so we need to see that on the international stage, because he has James Lowe obviously in that 11 shirt most of the time, and it's a tough shirt to get into, so this is his opportunity, and he'll want to show in the second half that he should be in that shirt. Jack Crowley, some people thought that this was the game to possibly let Sam Prendergast start, but Crowley has started. Does it look right now at half time like that was the right call for you, Robbie?
It's difficult to say with so little clean ball getting to the back line at the moment. Obviously nice to see him get on the scoreboard with a try, and kicking the conversions and that he's got so far. But I also think, as I said last week, that I'd like to try and stick with a bit of keep the consistency the same, get him in that position for a bit longer. I think we know what Sam Prendergast has got to offer, but to give Crowley the opportunity now to show what he's worthy of. And I thought he's been solid. I think Craig Casey, I felt, has really got the ball out quickly to him when there has been clean ball, and that's what he's been super at. Kicked themselves into good positions at time when they've had that position. But I think, going into the second half, I feel like Japan should really have the momentum with them. I feel like Ireland have been defending most of the first half. If we look at some of the stats that were on the screen earlier on, you look at the carries, Japan made 76 versus Ireland 46. The meters made 480 to Japan to 315, and even the tackles made, it's almost double the amount of tackles Ireland have made over Japan. So that's what everyone knows, it's harder to defend than it is to attack. So I feel Japan will have their tails up going into the second half if they can hold onto the ball, disrupt their set piece in the second half. I feel like they'll be in with a shot, and that's certainly what Eddie Jones will be.
You know, rightly, he will be saying, Claire, in there, look, guys, we have an extra man here for the first 10 minutes. Let's go at this and get ourselves level.
Yeah, I know. I think Eddie Jones will have the guys pretty excited about going out into the second half with a man up. So they have the opportunity here to go out and get level and potentially get ahead of Ireland if Ireland aren't totally switched on coming into the start of the second half with only 14 players. So it's going to be an important first 10 minutes, and hopefully Ireland will be able to deal with that 10 minutes. And I suppose this is also something that Andy Farrell will sort of revel in that his team are going to be under the cosh. You want to challenge your players as well. There's going to be times whenever you're down to 14, and this is the time where he's going to get to see how are these players going to react to this. This is experience, this is exposure for some of those young guys. I think this is going to be an important first 10 minutes for Ireland.
And he may have wanted to, get the guys on early, get the replacements on early. But Robbie, do you think he'll have to very much stick rather than twist for a while just to make sure this game is won first?
I would stick with what they've got at the moment. It definitely is too close to start making wholesale changes. I would look at the last 15-10 minutes if there was anything to come on. I think Jack Conan could be a good one to bring on. Finlay Bealham as well, tight head, that could be another option. But I would stick with what they've got at the moment to make sure they can get things right, because this is ultimately going to be the pack that potentially will start against South Africa in a couple of weeks' time. Obviously with Ronan Kelleher and Dan Sheehan swapping there, but hopefully they can get their set piece right, make a good start to the second half.
And just in a word before we go back, it's delicately poised, this, Claire, in a word, do you think Ireland will hold on here?
I think they should. If they get their line out right, if they stamp out the penalties, and if they look after their own ball, hopefully they will come out with the win at the end.
Okay, all right. Well, we shall see. Let's go back to the Aviva Stadium now and join our commentary team, Ian Humphreys and Jim Neely.
Both sides, the 15 of Japan and the 14 of Ireland, ready to go. Keelan Doris, the Irish skipper, having a little word with the Italian referee Gianluca Necci in the middle of the park. Ireland to get us underway in the beginning of this second half, playing from left to right as we look at it, defending the Havelock Square end, therefore playing towards the old Lansdowne Road end. Gianluca Necci just checked with a couple of his fellow officials, and remember Andrea Piardi is his touch judge. Jacob Stockdale, the yellow card, I didn't even realise they had the option of the red in, but the yellow card has been designated as level of danger not high, so it'll say a yellow card, so Jacob will be off for probably another 7 or 8 minutes. So Ireland will have to negotiate the opening stanza of this second half without their Ulster wing three-quarter master Jacob Stockdale, now 29 years of age. Made his Irish debut way back against the USA in 2027. Start of the second half, Jack Crowley kicks right-footed for the near touchline. That's a clever little kick by Crowley, but well taken in by the enormous Fijian Eparini Ulaviti for Japan. And another equally big South Sea Islander, Makisi, helps to set it up, and the ball has been kicked and still in touch, or still in play I should say, well taken in by Tommy O'Brien, Ireland's right wing. Ireland need to get the ball away from this situation, and they try to drive forward and they've set it up again. Now it's Casey. Crowley kicks right-footed. Where's that going to go? It's all over the place, and it's been knocked back in the Japanese side, so Ireland failed to regain that, and quick thinking by the Japanese. Good tackling by Ireland in the middle of the park. Nick Timoney feigns to go in and leaves the ball, and Ireland underneath it. The ball has gone loose. And did it come off a Japanese hand? Yes, it did. That should be an Ireland line-out. Now this is going to be a big test of everything that goes on. There's so many different parts in the line-out. There's the choice of target. There's the throw. There's the lift. There's the catch. There's the support. When everything works, it's great. One of those elements is off target, it doesn't work. In fact, it's the Japanese throw right on the halfway line. Ireland leading by 17 points to 10. Referee's blown the whistle. And he was saying, I think that there's a knock forward first of all. And it's not going to be it's going to be a scrum to Ireland. It was a knock forward by Japan. So instead of having a line out to Japan on halfway, it's going to be a scrum to Ireland on halfway, and they'll not be unhappy about that.
No, they would. A little bit of a let off, and it's one of those ones, Jim, sometimes you have to allow for error from referees, from assistant referees. Let's just keep the game flowing. But Ireland will be pleased that in this occasion the decision has gone on their way, and it's an opportunity now for Ireland to try and launch an attack. Obviously missing one wing, they'll probably just head it up in midfield with Robbie Henshaw and Tom Farrell, and then maybe come back down the blind side or try and beat Japan around the corner.
Well, there's no real subtlety in the middle of the park for Ireland. Messrs Henshaw and the new man Tom Farrell are big, strong fellas. Casey has a weak glance over his left shoulder to see about options. Pops the ball in. That's a good Ireland scrum, and they move forward. And the referee has said it's a penalty against Ireland for deliberately pulling the ball around. Why would you want to do that when you've got a dominant scrum? I don't understand. Maybe it's the referee's interpretation, or maybe Ireland did pull it round. But either way, it shouldn't have happened, and Ireland have conceded a penalty. And there's a great chance for Japan to go down this near touchline, their left-hand side, the west-hand side, and find a touch. And it's done just that by a nice kick by Seun Sing Lee. He's a clever little player, Ian, isn't he?
Yeah, he's played very well. Jim, his kicking game has been lovely, both kicking at goal, kicking at hand, line kicking. So that's a let-off for Japan, and now putting them into a good attacking position.
Udaviti doesn't bother with the ball. It goes to the Japanese skipper, Warner Dearns. Japan pushing up toward Ireland's 22, near side of the field. Dearns once again takes it forward. Good defending by Ireland in the middle of the park. That's excellent defending by Ireland. The ball back in the Japanese side, and they're moving it very quickly, and well taken on once again by Japan. Ireland have won the ball. It gets out wide here now. It's Ryan pops it back in field to his skipper, Keelan Doris, who bounces off a couple of Japanese players, gets across his own 10-metre line. Ireland still inside their own half. Casey struggling to get the ball away as quickly as Ireland would probably like. Now Casey's going to get it onto his left foot, and he does. A delicate little chip. Is there anybody underneath it? Crowley pops it backward. Well done by Crowley. Thomas Clarkson takes it forward, knocks it backward. Referee happy enough with that. Casey to the open side of the field. Porter on halfway. Gets across the halfway. Good support play by a couple of his tight forwards. Crowley moves it. Nicely done. This is better stuff by Ireland. Farrell gets it away now. Osborne moves it wide. Here comes O'Brien. O'Brien runs, and O'Brien takes on a couple of defenders, and he's still there. Casey digs the ball out. Little fat pass at Crowley. Lovely stuff by Ireland. This is good stuff. Ball knocked out of the hand of Henshaw. Still there for Ireland. Crowley dances and gets up to within 20 metres of the line. Still Ireland going forward, and again that final pass is not going to hand, and it's been knocked forward. And that was probably the best bit of continuity we've seen from this Ireland team so far, but still they couldn't finish it off.
Yeah, Jim, it was I mentioned in the first half that I think the Japanese have looked so dangerous attacking off 10, and then a couple of times Ireland, the first try came from attack off 10, running off Jack Crowley with the forward pot. It just gets in that little bit wider. It stretches the Japanese defence and finds a few soft shoulders. So again, they were attacking a little bit wider there. They found a little bit of a soft shoulder. Tommy O'Brien nearly got away on the far side, and then as they came back, good Japanese defence slowed it down. Then unfortunately a little bit of a miscommunication or mistiming between Casey and potentially Ryan Baird and one of the Irish forwards just led to the knock on, and now Japanese scrum.
Irish player down, injured at the moment. We've played just 4 minutes in the second half. Looks like Thomas Clarkson, the tight head prop. The replacement is the pretty handy man that has Finlay Bealham, who's been on the bench for a long time, mostly filling in behind Tadhg Furlong, but got himself a Lions tour in the summer, so he's a fully fledged British and Irish Lions tourist. Not a lot of people can say that, Ian.
No, absolutely not. And I think a lot of questions were asked. Was it just because he was Irish? Was it because of Farrell? But I think Farrell said the way he finished the season for Leinster, he probably proved that he was one of the formed tight head props playing in round and playing obviously the URC final. So good for Ireland to have 3 Lions tourists at tight head prop and showing the good depth that they're building now that Furlong and Finlay Bealham are sort of the wrong side of 30.
Clarkson seems to be fine. Scrum to Japan, about 6 or 7 metres inside the 22, and just about directly in front of their own post. 17-10 to Ireland at the interval. Ireland had led by 17 points to nil and looked, well, relatively comfortable. Japan moved to one side, then give it to the other. So we hinted an overlap here. That's moved out very wide to Kipai Ashida, who kicks right-footed all the way down, gathered in by Jamie Osborne. Runs outside of 22. Big, long kick all the way down into Japan's 22. Gathered in by fullback Yazaki. Kicks to Casey. Pops it up to Crowley. Kicks right-footed for the near touchline, and it's going to the middle of the park. Two Japanese players back, plenty of time, and they just steady himself, and he kicks right-footed and finds a touch, and that's just inside the Japanese half. And with nearly 6 minutes gone at 17-10, Ireland have a line-out, and we have to see if they can do any better than they did in the first half.
Yeah, you'd imagine that the line-out callers, whether it's Baird, whether it's Tagburn, would have been chatting with Paul O'Connell, would have been chatting with Ronan Keller, just trying to clean up the process, see if they can just at least get the process right.
Kelleher with the ball. That's much better, but Tagburn has managed to grab it now. He's moved forward and he has to go to ground, and he has gone to ground, and he set it up nicely, and a penalty against Japan for coming in at the side. So the result was better. The initial catch wasn't wonderful, but the result was Ireland get a penalty, and that's not bad at all.
No, it's not. It looked like it was more on tune. The timing looked a lot better there. So the Japanese nearly got in across and spoiled it, but well done by Tagburn. So an opportunity now for Jack Curley. He'll be looking to fire this as close to the 5 metre line as he can, with enough confidence that he's playing with this season. I would imagine him to go quite close, certainly deep into the 22.
Kenji Shimokawa was the man who transgressed. Touch judge on the near side is Federico Vedovelli, another Italian. Andrew Porter comes across and has a word with Kindle, and that's much better and quicker by Ireland. Nicely moved away. Here come Ireland again. Good drive forward by Robbie Henshaw across the Japanese 22. Good little wide pass. Here comes Keelan Doris. He had a man outside him. It took him a long time to get that ball away, and he should have given that perhaps a bit early, but a bit of ring rust there. We'll forgive him. Kelleher sets it up from the scrum half position. Ireland back to the 22. Tagburn, who took the initial line-out, drives forward, wrapped up well by Warner Dearns, the Japanese skipper. Now Ireland move it, head down. Henshaw once again, ball back in the Irish side. In fact, I think it might even been foul. Now they move it out wide. Great chance now for O'Brien. Hold down half a metre away. All the pressure coming from the men in green. This is much better. Andrew Porter has a go for the line, and he stretches that big hand of his, and he touches it down. And Andrew Porter gets international try number 7, and a very important one in the context of this match.
Yeah, that is a brilliant set-up play by Ireland initially off the line out, where it was Keelan Doris, as you said, Jimmy, just got caught by great scramble defence. Tommy O'Brien, I'm sure, would have been looking for it, but then they get through the multi-phase. Craig Casey's pass from the base is so quick, so flat and so wide. It's sucking in a lot of Japanese defenders, and then Ireland are just managing to beat them round the corner. And it was then a lovely, as they got close to the line, Tommy O'Brien looked like he was going to score, but as he was stopped, and that was a great pass. Casey hits Andrew Porter on a lovely line. Third attacker out. The Japanese defenders looking inside towards Ryan Baird, and Andrew Porter using his power and strength just to get over the line.
Japan making a replacement. I think it might be Charlie Lawrence is going off. It's either him or Dylan Riley. Crowley misses the conversion, his first missed kick. Looking a wee bit better for Ireland. They're 12 points up. We've played 9 minutes in the second half. Excuse me, I sneezed. And it's Ireland 22 and Japan 10, and there is indeed a Japanese replacement. I'll sort that out in a little moment when I get a second. But good work by Andrew Porter. He was stopped and he's allowed to stretch, and he did stretch. Nothing much wrong with that.
No, fantastic finish by Porter, and great work by Ireland, just showing how when they play with a little bit of width, a little bit of pace, then they can put the Japanese defence under big pressure.
Ben Gunter has gone off, and that great Japanese warrior, 37 years of age now, Michael Leach has come on, who used to be the Japanese team captain, was captain during the World Cup. So Michael Leach is on, wearing 20, and Ben Gunter is off. Still waiting for Jacob Stockdale to come back on. Hasn't made it just yet. But it's a line out to Japan from that restart kick. Right on the Irish 22, the near side of the field, the Japanese left. They're playing towards the Havelock square end. We're at the west stand side here, 22-10 to the home side. Japan with the line out, well thrown in, well taken. Here they come again, little flat pass, good tackling by Kelleher, got out into the middle of the field. Japan have recycled that ball quickly. Scrum half gets it away. Leach wearing 20 helps to set it up. Once again, that's Saito, pops it up to another man in red and white. A little bit of an overlap here if they can get the ball away, but in your face, first up tackling by Ireland is very good. O'Brien gets himself out of the way. Good driving forward by Perini Ulaviti. And again, it's Leach who's been prominent since he got himself on. And Japan moving forward straight down the middle, just taking a few Irish players out. The referee has the hand out for a penalty against Ireland. Sato moves it wide. Here comes Lee, gets it away nicely. Out on the far side is Makisi, the enormous big number 8. And again, little flat pass to the skipper, Warner Dearns, the Wellingtonian, just 24 years of age. And the referee says no advantage to Japan, and he comes back for the penalty against Ireland in the middle of the park and just to the right of the post. And back on comes Jacob Stockdale. So Ireland back to 15 men, 22-0 up, the first point of the second half.
Yeah, Ulster then unloading their bench a little bit as well, Jim. They're going to be looking for a big impact here from the forwards, just to try and continue the tempo. Ireland are playing better when they play with that pace, when they play with a little bit of width. I'd imagine Sam Prendergast coming on here will be trying to get his hands on the ball, using his forwards, and Ireland will be pleased with what they saw today from Jack Crowley, I think.
Jack Conan has come on for Nick Timoney. Japan have kicked the ball into the corner, and also coming off too is James Ryan.
I think Ryan Baird will probably go in the second row, Jim, and Cian Prendergast potentially go to 7, Jack Conan go to 6.
And number 22, Sam Prendergast, replacing number 10, Jack Crowley.
So both Prendergast boys on together. Good steal by Ireland on the far side of the pitch. Casey waits, gets it back to Prendergast. First involvement, kicks right-footed, and that is a huge kick by Prendergast. My word, that's a stonking kick, and Japan have taken it quickly, though. Nothing wrong with that, and here they come. This is what they're really good at. Up to their own 10-metre line, running across the field. Bit of a flat pass there. Little bit of a sidestepping done by Charlie Lawrence, who goes to ground just outside his 10-metre line. Ireland inside the Japanese half, but only just.
Number 17, Yosuke Iwaihara has replaced number 1, Kenta Kobayashi.
Iwahara, the loose head prop replacement, is on. Japan kick right-footed, well gathered in by Prendergast, who covered it back. They had Osborne outside him, runs flat still, and straightens up a bit clumsy, runs under a couple of red and white shirts on his own 10-metre line. Ireland have lost a bit of ground. Jack Conan never loses ground, take it forward, sets it up well. A lot of big hitters have come on. Keelan Doris, Ireland's captain, just comes in and then comes away again and takes it, asks for a little bit of help, gets a little bit of help from Clarkson, helps to set it up to Casey on his 10-metre line. Casey looks to the outfield and kicks left-footed. That's a nasty hanging little kick. Can Ireland jump underneath it? Well gathered in by Ireland. This is good stuff, and great work by O'Brien, who's had a very good game. He's dragged toward the near touchline. Casey gets it to the open field. It was taken on by Farrell in the middle of the park. Now it's Ireland once again. Little wrap round. Lovely wide pass once again. Here comes Stockdale back on the field, anxious to prove that he's still up to playing at this level. Casey gets it back again. Ireland on the Japan 10-metre line. Good drive and little pass by Tag Byrne. Casey brings it to the open side once again. Prendergast flat to the recent try scorer Andrew Porter. Casey yet again. Here comes Farrell. Little wide pass, nicely done. Little chip and chase, and Japan come all the way back. And that's been charged down. There's a great chance here that Stockdale can get in, and Stockdale gets in. And Jacob Stockdale, who had 10 minutes in the bin for something he probably didn't do, has more than made up, because Jacob Stockdale has got his 20th international try. Not just as spectacular as some of the ones that he scored when he was the Six Nations player of the tournament a few years ago, but that'll do every time.
Yeah, absolutely, and it just shows the work rate that he's got a charge down in the right hand side of the pitch coming off the left wing, and you can just see, Jim, whenever Ireland play with the tempo, when they play a little bit wider, sometimes off 10, they get that fast front foot ball, they're very, very dangerous. Tom Farrell heavily involved with offloads and second touches. Casey's distribution's excellent. Keelan Dorse is back as if he hasn't missed a beat, and it's just that ambition to play is whenever Ireland look really dangerous.
Well, is there anything such as the clear-cut try anymore? Because they're going to have a look at that. There was a good little chip and chase by Ireland. The ball came back and it was charged down, and was Stockdale in front? I don't think he was, and there's nothing wrong with that from here. The referee has given the try. It was Stockdale's upper body put the ball to ground and got the downward pressure. So I'm not altogether sure what's going on. What do you think, Ian?
I think they're thinking that potentially I think it's Cian Prendergast gets the charge down. This bit's all fine. The initial pass, good pass by Prendergast, kicked through by Tommy O'Brien, and now it's Cian Prendergast potentially is in front of Tommy O'Brien, and maybe that's why he's going to be considered offside. And then on the charge down, Jacob might be in front of Prendergast.
Well, the brother Prendergast is lining up the conversion. I think Jacob's try is going to be scratched off. No try for Jacob Stockdale. So 22-10 it stays, and the result of all of that is going to be a penalty to Japan. Such a pity for Jacob Stockdale. He'll be furious, but knowing Jacob, he'll want to come back and make amends.
Yeah, definitely, and it's just very unfortunate. It was Cian Prendergast gets pinged for being offside in front of Tommy O'Brien when they kick. And it's a difficult one.
Too enthusiastic.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you want to encourage guys to run the anticipatory lines of a line break, but unfortunately just has to be aware from a kick he's going to be offside. But that was a great finish by Jacob. Just unfortunately for him and for Ireland, it's not going to count.
14 minutes gone in the second half. Ireland leading 22-10. It's been altogether better from Ireland in terms of possession and in terms of territory as well. Number 19 is Cian Prendergast for Ireland. 22 is brother Sam. Japanese line out inside the Irish half, taken quickly and got away quickly. Moving the ball wide. Oh, Japanese very nearly a tackle miss there, but fortunately Ireland just recovered in time. Picked up and driven by Makisi. Ireland preventing quick Japanese ball, but they have the ball. A little pass by Dairns, the skipper. Another man out wide. Good attempt at a tackle by Casey. Slowed the man down. Japan up to the Irish 10-metre line, near side of the field. 5 metres in from the near touch line. Lee gets it away. Little flat pass once again. Lovely continuity by Japan. Lots of red and white shirts out there. The ball was knocked forward rather untidily and came off a Japanese hand inadvertently, which was a little bit unfortunate. Lua Makisi, the number 8, just spilled that ball forward, and it's going to be an Irish scrum.
Yeah, it was comfortable defence by Ireland. The Japanese were putting through a multitude of phases that looked like they were getting a little bit of space out wide a couple of times, but Ireland sort of softened off and got across no problem. Just unfortunately for Japan, that I think was Makisi just got a little bit too deep for when they were trying to play that sweep pass out the back. He couldn't get flat enough, and the sweep runner was just too far, and it just hit his inside shoulder. And Japanese will be disappointed because it looked like they were almost finding a soft edge in the Ireland touchline, but good defence by Ireland. Now an opportunity. Scrum, you'd imagine, will stay pretty strong, and it's just, what does Prendergast try and do here? Will he go for a lunge play, or will he try and find territory again?
Well, Japan made just the 3 changes. Reddy Jones made just the 3 changes for this game, and a lot more continuity. Ireland had to make no fewer than 8 changes. Irish scrum in the Japanese half, moves forward. Casey runs to the narrow side, whips it away to the far side to Stockdale, who gets it back inside. Lovely stuff by Stockdale. Here come Ireland, charging forward up to the 22. Nicely laid back, Casey. Good little flat pass, little chip out to the far wing. Here goes Tommy O'Brien. Oh, well, how very unfortunate. He just spilled it forward, but the referee's going to bring them back, I think, for a penalty to Ireland for a Japanese infringement over the far side, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was off the scrum again, so Ireland knew they were playing with the advantage. And Jim, that's what's so strong about Jacob Stockdale. One-on-one, he nearly always steps off that left foot and gets the left hand free for the offload. Ireland flooding down that channel, aware it could happen. Good interplay between Jack Conan and Cian Prendergast. Great quick offload on Prendergast. Sam Prendergast seeing the space out wide, linking up with Tommy O'Brien. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite pick it up cleanly. Otherwise, that would have been a lovely team try by Ireland.
Prendergast, the younger Sam Prendergast, kicks right-footed for the far touchline and finds a simply splendid touch. Ireland making 2 more changes. Gus McCarthy is coming on. And number 18 is Finlay Bealham. He's on for Tom Clarkson. Tom Clarkson's a big unit. I'm quite impressed with him. He's got a very decent future, I do believe.
Yeah, no, he's very good. He showed up a lot today in the loose. He had a lot of ball carries. He's a good ball player as well. And just obviously been in that Leinster system, he's going to learn from the likes of Tadhg Furlong. Obviously with Cian Healy there.
Was Finlay Bealham not playing Connacht?
Oh, sorry, Finlay Bealham does. Thomas Clarkson's Leinster.
Yes.
But Finlay Bealham at Connacht, yeah, he's a good replacement to be bringing on. Obviously another Lion tourist in the summer.
Number 21, Shinobu Fujiwara, replacing number 9, Naoto Saito.
Fujiwara is on.
Replacing number 10, Senshun Lee.
And Kamura, wearing number 22, is on.
You'd imagine Eddie Jones sending these replacements on, trying to lift the intensity again. Like, that's when Japanese have been at their most dangerous, when they've been playing with tempo, Jim, when they're playing high pace, quick line outs, quick taps, trying to just stretch Ireland defence. So this substitutionals at half backs will be looking to try and move the ball about.
And number 6, Ben Gunter is back on.
18
number 8, Balua
is on for Japan. Tamafusa, the tight head prop. And back row forward, Ben Gunter is on. Ireland win the line out. Nice to say that. 15 or 20 minutes from the line. Little flat pass once again, taken on by Tom Farrell. No way through, but Casey has fell amongst him and gets it away. Good flat pass to Jamie Osborne. There's a chance of Ireland could move this wide. Support play by big Jack Conan, who's been such a great player for Ireland over recent seasons. Prendergast pops it back inside. Andrew Porter got Ireland's most recent try, is moving forward, and he's still moving forward, and Ireland held up 5 metres away, and the referee says it didn't go to ground. It wasn't a ruck situation. It was held off the ground by Ireland, and Japanese have forced the 5 metre scrum, and they'll be pleased with that.
He will. It was just Ireland lost their shape a little bit. Prendergast just pops it back inside to Andrew Porter just to try and get over the gain line, get a little bit of shape, but from a standing start the Japanese defenders did very well to get underneath them. And as the ball was held up, referee calling maul, and then from then there was no chance of Ireland getting it back. So great Japanese defence. Nice attack play by Ireland, nice wide attacks into midfield. Great defence though by Japan, keeping their eyes up and not getting caught looking inward towards the decoy runners.
Bealham and Gus McCarthy on the Irish front row. We have played almost an hour at the end of the third quarter of this game. Ireland leading by 22 points to 10, 17-0 up at one stage. Japan win the scrum quite easily, and they drive off the back of it. And the place from scrum half, Fujiwara, thought about going in and taking the kick himself, but he's passed it back to his outside half, and he does kick and finds a half decent touch, more than a half decent touch, almost up to the Japan 10-metre line, the near side of the field. Ireland playing towards the Lansdowne road end, leading by 22 points to 10. 2 more games to come here in this old ground before the end of November. Next week, later than this one, I have to say, Ireland, Australia, and then the double world champions South Africa. The Springboks are in town. Ireland win the line out. Nicely done. Casey whips it away. O'Brien came in. That's a good pass. Well taken in by O'Brien. Ball goes to ground. Nobody in the scrum half for Ireland. Well picked up. Good driving forward once again by the Irish forward pack. In goes Casey. Gets it away. Wonderful defending. Cian Prendergast gets knocked back by 2 or 3 metres. Here come Ireland yet again. There's a half decent chance here. Stockdale came in from the left wing. Set it up nicely. Casey runs to the open side, the Irish left. Prendergast has a big bit of a hole there, but Ireland couldn't quite exploit it. Taken on by Jack Conan. What a busy man he's been. This is nicely done by Ireland, but they're losing ground all the time. They're keeping continuity, and the passes are very clever and intricate, but they're losing ground, and that's the important thing. Tadhg Byrne at scrum half sets it up nicely. Well done by Prendergast yet again wearing number 19. Casey runs to the narrow side, hasn't really had a dart himself and has half a bit of a dart there. Finlay Bealham is in there trying to help. This time there's a kick by Sam Prendergast. That's a huge kick coming down outside the 22, well gathered in, and Stockdale was up quickly and takes his opposite number 11, Osada, puts him to ground. Ball back on the Japanese side rather slowly, 20 metres in from the near, 50 metres in from the near touchline. There's a half charge down there by Ireland. Now, did that come off an Ireland hand? I don't think it did, so it's going to be an Irish line out just about midway between the Irish 22 and 10 metre line.
Yeah, Jim, I think one of the most impressive things about the Japanese is their organisation and their attention to detail. And when they're trying to exit, they don't take any risks. They do what they need to do, and they get the ball out of play well. And now it's an opportunity for Ireland to attack.
Cian Blade, the 31-year-old, is on. Moves it away. Nicely done by Ireland. Prendergast held on a little bit too long when he perhaps should have given that. Maybe there wasn't an opportunity. Good wide pass by Ireland out to Jacob Stockdale. Stockdale comes back in field and pumps those big legs. His blade gets in quickly. Nicely done. Good work once again by Ireland. Caelan Doris, the skipper, goes in to help. Blade brings it to the open side. This is better stuff by Ireland. Good support play by Tadhg Byrne. Blade once again. Here come Ireland driving forward. Good work by Farrell. Support play is there from the scrum, the replacement hooker McCarthy. Blade runs to the open side, loses well a little bit, turns and changes his direction. There's nobody there to be a scrum half, and Tadhg Byrne has to go in. He gets it way wide. This is better stuff from Ireland. There's a half chance here, well away by O'Brien. Moves it out wide. Couldn't quite get the pass away to Stockdale because he was slightly impeded. I'm not altogether sure it didn't come off a Japanese hand, but the referee, I think, has decreed that it might well be a Japanese line out, and that's exactly what it's going to be. That was a decent chance there, Ian, wasn't it?
It was, Jim. It was well created. Tommy O'Brien working well off his wing again. But I think it's just sort of been the story of Ireland's day. 2 or 3 times the last passes haven't quite been accurate enough. A couple of times off starter plays, it's inside shoulder which hesitates and checks the run and just allows the defence to get into position.
Japanese line out 5 metres inside their 22, well taken at the back by the skipper Warner Dairns. Big number 6 Ben Gunter, 6'5", back row forward, is back on again. Back on the Japanese side, Fujiwara, the replacement scrum half, kicks. Well, that's a very good kick indeed, and he's made an awful lot of ground. There's a wee bit of a breeze blowing into the Japanese faces, so the breeze flowing down the field from the Havelock Square end to the Lansdowne Road end. We have played 23 minutes in the second half and a wee bit more. Ireland 22-10 up, 17-0 at one stage, 17-10 at the interval. Only one score in the second half. Ireland get the ball away. Blade, nice flippy pass out to Prendergast. Puts it high up into the air. It's coming down in the middle of the park, and that's wonderfully well taken by Japan. And away they go, and they have got away, and it's the fullback. Yazaki gets away, and he runs into the Irish cover, but he's still going. Needs a few bits of help from his men in red and white. Now they have it. There's a wee half chance here if Japan can move it. Out to Charlie Lawrence, comes back in field. Good drive by Charlie Lawrence. Good cover tackling by Ryan Baird. Here comes Japan again. Ball spilled forward by Japan. Referee playing advantage to Ireland. Doris at scrum half. Little flip pass. Here goes Stockdale. Puts the foot on the gas. Stockdale up to the 10-metre line. Maybe just hasn't got that flat out pace that he used to have, but he's taking play up to the halfway line. Ireland switch direction of play. Now they get it away. This is good stuff by the boys in green to get across the halfway line. Caelan Blade goes in. He's played well since he came on. Tadhg Byrne. This is good stuff. Well away by Ireland. Andrew Porter runs into a wee bit of trouble, but he's strong enough to set it up. Blade thinks about the narrow side and he kicks right-footed. That could be into a bit of space and taken in and gathered in. And the referee is bringing them back for a penalty against Japan for infringing. Ireland are playing a lot better now, Ian.
They are indeed, Jim, but I think what a break by Japanese fullback Yazaki. And from it was a good kick by Prendergast, competitive, and then he just went the length. But what a turnover then by Ireland in defence. Fantastic awareness, not to just panic and kick the ball out, but Jacob Stockdale sweeps around, and as you said, it would be nice to see him hack it through to see where their foot race. But Ireland showing ability to attack and counter-attack. And then unfortunately for them, they've lost Jimmy Osborne to a shoulder injury there. Jimmy O'Brien's coming on. But I think what Ireland need to do is just keep their composure. When they make that little bit of a line break, it doesn't have to be then the next pass, doesn't have to be the killer pass. Sometimes they're just trying to really find that next one instead of having their composure and looking to see what's on, and just to try and sharpen up the accuracy a little bit. A few passes just not a wee bit floaty, a wee bit inside shoulder instead of getting out in front of the man, because once they get momentum, once they're playing with width, they're looking really, really dangerous. Tom Farrell's coming into his own with the offloads and running a nice attacking lines off Sam Prendergast.
Jamie Osborne is leaving the field, so one presumes it's going to be Jimmy O'Brien. Indeed, it is Jimmy O'Brien who's on for his 11th cap. And Prendergast kicks right-footed into the corner. A magnificent catch. The Japanese defender read it so well, and had he been about 3 inches taller, he would have stopped that.
Yeah, but what a kick by Prendergast to put it to 5 metres. And now this is the Irish line-out's been excellent in the second half. Gus McCarthy's been hitting his man, so I would imagine Ireland will be trying to maul this over.
Gus McCarthy, great throw, great take, good drive by Ireland. Heave, say the Lansdowne Road crowd. Now, can Ireland do that? You'd expect them to get over against the Japanese, who wouldn't be quite just as big. But Ireland tried to just sneak down this near side. The ball has been helped along by Ireland, and over they go in the corner, and the referee says that is a try, and Ireland have got a try, and they may well have sealed this game. And I think it might be Cian Prendergast.
Yeah, great finish by Ireland. The maul was well won at the front. Ryan Baird, we all know how good he is in the line-outs, particularly the defensive line-out, but he gets up. Ireland well set up, and I think with Gus McCarthy, Jim gets his hands in the ball and ends up getting awarded the try. But Ireland's setup was really good. We saw then late Tommy O'Brien joined it, Robbie Henshaw joined it, just to give that very last little bit of impetus to get over the line, and that probably takes the game away from the Japanese. And now Ireland, you might see, relax and run in a couple of late tries as well.
Well, Cian Prendergast celebrated as if he had got the touchdown. There wasn't much in it, but it was, on retrospect, that Gus McCarthy, and a chance now for Sam Prendergast to get his first points, and not the worst kick in the world, but just drifted to the far side. So with 13 minutes remaining, Ireland 17 to the good. It's Ireland 27 and Japan 10.
Yeah, and I think in the second half it's probably well deserved, Jim. I think Ireland have come out and played a little bit wider. They found a little bit more space and a bit more accurate. Obviously, line-outs function much better, which has given them the platform to play off. So last sort of 13 minutes, would be nice to see Ireland really, really clinical here and maybe get another score in the board.
Restart kick didn't go the prerequisite 10 metres, so they'll come back to the middle of the park for a scrum, and a new face in the scrum this afternoon. It's the replacement loosehead Paddy McCarthy, who won his first cap off the bench against the All Blacks in Chicago last week, playing for Ireland for the second week in a row. How wonderful that must feel for him.
Yeah, I'm sure he would have loved to have been out there with his brother Joe, but he's a young player with huge potential. Farrell name-checked him last week or two about how when he was in with the Irish 20s, Jimmy made such an impression on him then, and obviously has come through the ranks at Leinster as well. And it just shows the strength and depth that I think of the 8 or 9 front row. I think the majority of them are from Leinster, so credit to Leinster and their production line of bringing through their front rows.
Have you heard anything about Joe McCarthy in terms of his fitness and return to playing?
Nothing at all. I don't think he'll be back for these games, but hopefully he won't be too long.
Ireland win the scrum on the halfway line. Cian Blade brings it to the open side, little flat pass. This is nice stuff. Here's Blade, says a lovely dummy. The referee's going to bring them back. Is that a forward pass?
Yeah, I think the first one.
Oh dear.
I think the idea of the attack to try and get Prendergast as flat as possible, and Blade maybe passed it without going forward enough, and unfortunately just the 9 to 10 pass was just slightly forward, just to try and engage the defensive line. But that's quite sloppy, quite frustrating for the team.
Yeah, those are things that the All Blacks and the Wallabies and the Springboks just don't do.
Totally, Jim. And I think that's the frustration for all probably the coaches and the players in general, that there's just been one or two small things haven't quite been as accurate as they would have liked, and that's always going to be a potential fallout of new combinations, of a lot of changes. Just that timing and the combinations just aren't quite on tune.
Japan scrum on halfway. Move it to the far side of the field there, right? A little chip. Has that gone too far? Yes, it has. That's gone straight into touch. So it's a mistake by Japan. And that will give Ireland the line out on the far side of the field, just inside the Irish half by about a couple of metres. So we've played almost 70 minutes, just over 10 to go. Ireland leading by 27 points to 10. Japan yet to score in this second half. Ireland with two tries, and both unconverted, but it's an Irish line out inside the Japanese half. McCarthy takes it, Blade grips it away in field. Stockdale, nice flat pass. Here come Ireland again. Lovely angle. Here goes Farrell up to the 10-metre line. Hold down. In goes Keelan Blade, I should say. Little flat pass once again by Ireland. Good driving forward. Japan trying to hold the Irish ball carrier up in the air, and they've not managed to do that, but they've got themselves offside, and Ireland will get the penalty, and there's no point in kicking for the post at this stage of the game, Ian.
No, there's not. I would imagine after his last kick, Prendergast will be full of confidence and be trying to drill this deep into 22 again. A lovely starter play from Ireland. It's the second or third time they tried to run it today, but the accuracy was bang on. Tom Farrell going through a nice hole, and just unfortunately the Japanese give away a penalty for not rolling away, and then the next phase for Ireland was slightly off their time and got held up.
That is another very good kick, and Gus McCarthy's right up there with a fresh football and a bit of an old towel just to dry it off into the final 10 minutes of what's been an interesting game without being an explosively wonderful game from an Irish perspective. Paddy McCarthy standing at the front wearing 17 for Ireland. Behind him Brian Baird, then Tadhg Byrne. Who they're going to throw it to? They're going to throw it to the back, and that's nicely done. Here goes Jack Conan, taken off at the ankles. Good defending. Keelan Blade to the near side. Again Ireland driving forward, head down. Have to get the ball back, and they have got the ball back. Picked up by McCarthy, looking for his first international try. Casey once again held up. Wee bit of white line fever. Allen drive to the line, and they've got over the line once again, and it is Paddy McCarthy. Would you believe it? The youngster in just his second international, and he's got over for a try. What a day for the young loosehead prop.
Yeah, fantastic work by Paddy McCarthy. Jim, as you said, 2 rucks previously. He got very close by picking and going. He's a powerful young prop, and again he spots the opportunity to attack around the fringes and does really well, and gets over for the try. But I think for Ireland, one of the most positive things they'll find from today, the second half, will have been how successful the line-out's been after struggling so much in the first half. I think Sam Prendergast come on and brought good energy as well, and Ireland will be the light. Just bringing in that accuracy whenever you're in these kind of games, that just sort of closes out the game nicely.
Sam Prendergast brings it in. That's a lovely kick from a very, very narrow angle. So the extra 2 points take Ireland probably out of sight. They've scored 12 points in this second half. There were 17, sorry, more than that actually, 17. There were 17-10 up at the interval, and it's now Ireland 34 and Japan 10. What a day for young McCarthy.
Yeah, fantastic for me. He'll be delighted. I think the scrums have gone well since he's been on. He's looked lively in the loose, so he's definitely young prop with full potential.
Dare I say his hairstyle is somewhat less controversial than his brothers. Restart by Japan, taken in by Ireland, and Prendergast kicks, wonderful spirally kick all the way down into the Japanese half. Yazaki lets it go. Japan reply with a kick up in the air. Who's underneath it? Ball knocked backward, and then it's bumped into the arms of Michael Leach, the veteran Japanese back row forward. Ireland do a little bit of very good tackling there, and it was Keelan Doris managed to get the Japanese left winger Tomoki Osada and bundle him into touch for an Irish line-out. 6 minutes remaining. All smiles for Ireland though in this second half performance, much better than the first.
Yeah, it has been, Jim. It's been much more accurate, much more efficient. They've got through their phases, and again, just to reiterate, it's the fact that the line-out's function has made such a difference, so that's a huge improvement the second half.
Ball back in the Irish side once again. Wide pass out to Stockdale. Stockdale over halfway. Stockdale put in the gas. Tried to throw the ball in field, but it went forward. Just couldn't quite get it away. It's been a frustrating old day for Jacob Stockdale, hasn't it?
It has. He's been so close to getting away a few times. The Japanese defence did really, really well to close him down. You were just looking for him to step off his left to then find his support infield, but that last scrambling defender from Japan just managed to get hold of him, and he couldn't quite get across to offload it back inside to Keelan Blade. So great scramble defence by Hiroshi. for Japan, and you can just see the frustration. Stockdale knows how close he was to getting away.
What I liked about that was 3-4 straightforward passes, and the ball goes from the scrum half to the wing. And to me, that's what rugby's all about.
I totally agree, Jim, and I think there's been a huge emphasis on attacking rugby through all these different shapes, and I think rugby's going full circle again. You saw last week New Zealand were so dangerous when they started playing a wee bit wider off 10. Ireland have been more threatening when they played that little bit wider instead of all the shapes in tight. So it just stretched the defence a little bit more. When the accuracy's there, it can be a great way to attack.
Scrum to Japan, midway between their 22 and 10 metre line, far side of the field from us. A little wrap around move in the middle of the park by Japan. Good covering once again by Tommy O'Brien, who's fitting into this level of rugby. Fine play on, says the referee. Ireland steal it, and here goes O'Brien, and O'Brien's going to get a try in the corner. Nobody's going to get Tommy O'Brien, and over he goes for Ireland's 6th try of the afternoon. And if anybody deserves it, it's Tommy O'Brien, his 3rd international touchdown.
Yeah, Tommy O'Brien's worked hard all afternoon, Jimmy. He's been so close to getting away a couple of times, and he'll be delighted to get that finish. Great work by Ireland's scramble defence. The ball just pops out, and an awareness from Sam Prendergast that he's got a gas man inside him. And the Japanese will be disappointed because their wide breakdowns have been so good all day, but Prendergast does the sensible thing, gives it to Tommy O'Brien, who's so quick and finishes well from 40 yards out. And as we said, Ireland will be delighted now just to run up the scoreboard a little bit to make it look even more comfortable than it has been.
Well, I'm looking at the referee and looking at his assistants, and nobody's querying it, so we're actually going to get a straightforward, no-nonsense touchdown try. Conversion to come. Difficult old angle once again for Sam Prendergast, who nailed the last one. And as he nailed this one, well, what a strike by Sam Prendergast. And Ireland now leading by 41 points to 10. What a second half they've had. Japan have never looked like doing anything at all, and Ireland have looked at business in the second half, and one hopes there's more to come for 2 bigger tests the rest of this month.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. I think it's just as this second half has gone on, the Japanese have tired, Ireland have become more accurate, more clinical, and they've just run away with the board at the end.
Ireland set it up just outside their 22, trying to move the ball wide. That's nicely done. Good take by Ireland. As Stockdale, it's an awful pass. Awful pass by Jimmy O'Brien. Jacob Stockdale couldn't take it. Had he been put in front of him, I think Jacob was away.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jim. That was lovely flowing attack by Ireland. Decision making at the line was excellent, and then it's great hands by Ireland. Jimmy O'Brien, usually so good, he just forced it and had that
pushed it too hard, didn't he?
He did, yeah, and that's just so frustrating. You can just see the look of frustration from Jacob, knowing that if that pass goes to hand, either Stockdale finishes it or it's an easy inside pass to Jimmy O'Brien to finish it. So that's a missed opportunity for Ireland there in the last few minutes.
Has Stockdale done enough to depose James Lowe next week?
I mean, he's definitely shown that he's capable if he gets the opportunity, whether or not they decide that they want James Lowe's kicking game. But I think Jacob has looked more dangerous in attack for sure.
Ireland steal the ball on the halfway line. Prendergast whips it wide now. Farrell moves it wide to the man himself, Tommy O'Brien. Chip and chase by Tommy O'Brien. He's closing down the placement, and the ball was knocked forward by Ireland, and Japan will get the scrum, but there's a great chance for Ireland to pressure out. All of a sudden, full time is looming with about a minute and a half to go, and what a second half Ireland have put in.
Fantastic, Jim. I think you can just see the energy, and the interesting one now is going to be the whole conversation around who's going to be the Ireland 10, because Crowley played quite well, but I think since Sam Prendergast come on, there's been more energy in the team. There's been a little bit more attacking intent, so it's just whether or not they decide to give Sam a shot next week against Australia, or whether they go again with Crowley to give him a third run just to try and get a little bit of consistency. But whatever they decide to do, I'm sure both players will be more than capable to step up.
Well, Ireland have conceded a penalty. It's kicked into touch. It's going to be a line to Japan. They've changed their hooker. The diminutive Shoda Hirao has come on for his 3rd cap. He's a tiny wee fella as an international hooker. Let's see if he can get the throws right, because their darts are normally pretty accurate. And it goes. Ooh, well, it's stolen by Ireland. Well, he didn't get that one right. Ball back on the Irish side. Blade whips it to the open field. Little offload from the skipper. Taken on by Jack Conan once again. Again, it's Blade. This is better stuff by Ireland. Well done by Farrell. Jacob Stockdale has to come in field to take the ball, and here goes Stockdale. Bursts through the first tackle, sets it up nicely. Blade gets it away. McCarthy of the hooker variety is in there to set it up again. Blade again to the open side of the field. Little chip and chase by Prendergast. Where's it going? It's bouncing into Japanese hands. It was a clever thought there by Prendergast, but there were too many men in red and white. There was a wee thicket of red and white players. Michael Leach just moves back. He's starting to creak a little bit. Japan have won the ball. We are into the red. The game is won. At halftime, you wondered, maybe we shouldn't have wondered. Japan kick it into touch, and the referee says that is what's called no side in old terms. And Ireland have come through a tough test for them for an awful lot of this game, but they'll be pleased with the way they responded.
They will, Jim. And I think the big thing for Ireland will be that first half was kept tight because the set piece didn't go as they would have pleased. And then they just little inaccuracies at breakdown, a few penalties given away, a few passes just not sticking. Second half they managed to sort of clean that up. Line out seemed to go near 100%, and their accuracy was much better in attack. So I think second half is more of what Ireland are trying to do. First half will be frustration.
Anybody put their hand up for selection for this time next week against the Wallabies?
It's a difficult one. I think there'll be a few changes probably. I think for Ireland, Tommy O'Brien, given player of the match, will be obviously straight back in again. I thought Jack Conan made a bit of an impact when he came on, so it's whether or not they decide to try and find a way where they can have Caelan Doris and Jack Conan in the same back row to start. And then the big debate's going to be at 10, who's going to play Sam Prendergast or Jack Crowley.
Ian, my thanks as ever. It was 17-10 to Ireland at the interval. First half tries from Crowley and Timoney, a couple of conversions and a penalty from Crowley. No score for Japan in the second half. Ireland went on to score further tries through Andrew Porter, through Gus McCarthy, through Paddy McCarthy, and a belter right at the end from Tommy O'Brien. He would have been a bit anxious at the interval, Ireland's coach, Mr. Farrell, but at the end he will be beaming. Final score at Lansdowne Road, Ireland 41 and Japan 10.
This is Sports Sound. Listen live on digital, online or on BBC Sounds.